Good day to you friends and followers, my name is Gray Fox and welcome to No Man's Sky. Now, this game's been out a week and there have been a tremendous number of reviews, both people who are tremendous fans of the game and those that despise its very existence. So, the question really is the game worth playing? Is the game worth buying? Is the game even worth talking about? So, that's what I'm going to do in this review is I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm not going to move just yet because there's a couple of things I want to talk about before I get into this. Now, I want to talk about a non-biased thing entirely to begin with, which I'm going to keep this review as unbiased as possible. But I think technical things need to be talked about first, and they're not really being discussed that much from what I've seen. One is I'm going to talk about the vastness of the game to kind of help people understand the scope of it. Because people are talking about if you name things, certain things, like if you watch Markiplier's video and he names his planet, after himself, whatever, people are like, oh, you're breaking immersion. Do you realize the likelihood of actually seeing that planet ever? Now, most people say, well, eventually, yeah. Well, probably not. And here's why. Because there are over 18 quintillion planets. So, to put that into perspective of actually the likelihood of you seeing that planet. Sean Murray, the dev himself, has said if every player explored 500 planets a day, and if you think about that, if you were just touch down the planet and leave, touch down the planet and leave, and you kept doing that, given travel time, hyperdistance, everything, that would take you between 7 and 9 hours a day, so roughly 8 hours a day. If you did that every day for 10 years, you would finally cover the game. So that means that roughly in 1 year, if you played this game every day for 8 hours a day doing just that, you would cover 10%. If you did it for 4 hours a day, or 250 planets roughly, you would cover about 5%. So from there, that means if you were to play 1 hour a day doing nothing but going for planets, you cover 1% of the game in roughly a year. I believe my numbers are right there. But anyway, think about that. If all you did was go around finding planets and did nothing else in the game, it would still take you a year to even look at 1% of this game. So you can name whatever you want within parameters and within reason and within something logical and mature. Don't go naming your planet like, well, I'm not going to say some of these words, so I'm going to keep it clean. So that being said, I don't think that people should be overly concerned about what things get named. Also, when it comes to things like multiplayer, we're going to talk about this next. I think a ton of people are wanting to buy this game because of the idea of multiplayer, and I did have that in my mind at first. I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to go find some friends. We're going to go explore everything together, and it is going to be fantastic. Well, don't. If you're going into this game thinking that your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your dog, your roommates, ex-fiance are all going to play together? No, it's not going to happen. Don't even remotely entertain the idea that you and any other person are going to play this game together. And the reason behind that is because let's say that you take the time to actually find one another. Say, okay, I'm here, this person's here, and we're going to meet up. And you finally, after however long it takes, manage to meet up. And you end up on the same planet. And then you end up in the same area on that planet. And then you end up on the same station or the same bunker or the same hill or the same tree as that other person. There's still the chance you're not going to see each other because you could be in different instances. You could log out, log back in, and potentially end up in the same instance. But there's still the probability and the likelihood and the possibility that you are not going to see that person. So even through all of that work, you simply are still likely going to be alone. So that being said, No Man's Sky is a single player game. It has multiplayer aspects to it and elements to it, but it is not multiplayer. Now, we'll move on to the actual game itself. First of all, is presentation. I am big on talking about presentation first. This game doesn't have the most state-of-the-art graphics that you could potentially hope for. Like, it does not look like Star Wars Battlefront. However, the game looks good for what it is. You have to consider the amount of stuff going on at one time, everything going on around you, um, everything in this game. Once you land on a planet, once you're in a system and everything, there are no load screens. Everything around you is generated, and it's there. There's no wait time. Everything that's around me, everywhere that you can see, is places I can go. And like wildlife will spawn, so you have things that will pop up, and you can scan. You can scan your trees. Um, there's a lot of really cool stuff here. Also, let's show us off real quick. That's my ship. Reminds me of like a Z fighter or like an X-wing with just no wings on it. So as far as like the presentation goes, I think it does what it needs to do. It it presents this game in a way that is good for what it's doing. For everything that's loaded on the screen, all the things that have to be loaded, all the caching that needs to be done, all the processing, the visuals are there for that. Now, if you look at other games like Minecraft and all that are kind of in the same realm, then I mean it's beyond that, because Minecraft is just it's very basic, it's very simple, and this still has a simplicity to it, but it does it in a very cool way. It feels more like a water painting as you're standing back. So if you stand back here and look at this looks like a water painting, but there's a lot going on. There's atmospheric stuff going on. There's birds. There's animals around going around, and it has its own ecosystem. And so it's very cool. I like that a lot. Um, Also, uh, I will say that going up into space and all of that is one fluid movement. I'll show that in a moment. Um, and so it doesn't. It's not like a triggered event. You don't get into your ship, hit a button, and then suddenly you're in space. It's more of, you can kind of do that, but if I take off from here and I keep going up, and now I'm like, okay, well, I'm flying around. That's great. So and there's a thing right there. That's great. Oh, look at that. Now I decide I want to go up. And I start boosting upward. So now we're heading directly up from the ground. You can see on the left-hand side at the speed. Now, if I stop, I'm above the planet that I was just on. I can look down, and there's the planet that I was literally just on. Now, let's say, okay, I want to go over this way on this planet. Let's go check and see what's over here. Look, there's a whole bunch of structures and stuff over there. Let's go see about this operations center. So it's going to take a little over a minute to get over there and to see this place. So I'm flying along, all is great and dandy. I'm traveling at about 1.2 U, or 2K U. 1.3, 1.4, it's about 45 seconds out. So there's no like lag or no loading walls that you're gonna hit. There's no zone walls that you're gonna really get into. The lower you go, the slower you go, by the way. So if you're higher up into space like this, you'll go faster. And if you're lower, so if I let go of circle, you can see I just completely slow down. Okay, so we're getting closer. So for instance, now if I'm like, okay, well, I'm in pretty good shape here. Let's just go ahead and let's get down to the planet. So let's see if we're entering the atmosphere of this planet and we're getting down to the point where we're going to be able to land on this planet. As you can see, things are being generated in front of you as well. So you can see how the graphics kind of get weird there. That's it loading into the ground below you. And as you can see, in a straight line, I'm now on this planet. There's the operations center that I was looking at. See, that is the transition you make between a planetary play as well as space play. Very cool. I really like the way they did that. I like the fact that there's not just like a button you press and you end up in space and it's just there, because that sequence would have kind of been your loading screen. And this doesn't do that. Now, that isn't to say there's no loading screens at all, because if you're jumping systems and it has to load a whole new system in, then it gives you that visual of you hyperdriving. Kind of think like a Star Wars thing. Well, during that sequence, it's loading. So it's just sort of that way of them to sort of slide that in. If you happen to see Jacksepticeye's playthrough on this, which I'm sure plenty of people have, uh, he actually mentions that it's a cheeky way of doing it, and it really is. It's just their way of saying we need to load this in, but we're going to give you something to kind of distract you. And so I like the way that they did that, though. I like the fact that that is the way that it was handled. Um, so now I'm going to talk about the sound of this. It's got good things like the spaceship sounds fantastic. The guns sound fine. Uh, the aliens sound pretty good. There's not really a lot of voiceovering or anything like that. You don't really have like a lot of people actually talking or anything because they're aliens. Um, so you just end up with like weird languagey kind of noises and stuff. But I'll tell you the problem I have with the sound, and that is when you're on a planet roaming around, you'll hear things. Like it'll sound like there's a giant dinosaur just like roaming around making noises at you. And there's nothing there. I was on a planet that had hardly any life at all. There was very sparsely placed life. And yet it sounded like there was just beasts around me constantly. And I was like, why? Why are there noises being made when there's nothing here to make those noises? So my problem with the game is that there are like disembodied noises, I guess you would say. There are noises that don't make sense. And so I'm thinking like, don't make noises just to be making noise. I would rather there be no noise. I would rather there be absolute still quiet, because that gives me an actual sense of something along the lines of being alone. Um, I think that makes a bigger difference. I think being able to get that sense of I am alone in space. I am by myself. That makes a huge difference. So things like these, like the structures are pretty cool. I like it, but a lot of them are pretty much the same. There's not a lot of difference here. So I'm a little disappointed in that. Um, Now, as far as the music goes, the music is okay. It doesn't appeal to me. It might appeal to few, or to a vast majority of other people, but to me, it just, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. It's okay. I mean, it's not bad. I can't say that it's bad, but I will say that it doesn't appeal to me personally. Um, Next, I would touch on the gameplay itself. Now, it's what you would expect as far as a gathering resource kind of game. You go around, you find things, you gather resources, and you you basically just get rich and get ships and go from there. Um, there's not really a combat system that's defined. There's you have your little beam thing that you can swap to a bolt caster. And it also has a grenade attachment if you do have that, which I do have, and I think I need to. Excuse me, I think I need to. No, okay. Can I reload? There we are. So, oh, I actually have an aggressive creature near me. That one over there, I think. We're just gonna let him stay over there. So, for instance, here, I need to destroy this door. This is a good scenario. So I'll have to swap to Boltcaster. I can start shooting this door. I can also launch grenades at the door, which are far more effective. And then the Sentinels get annoyed. The Sentinels are kind of like the space police. So, but they're also kind of dumb. So I go in here, and they're just like, oh no, where did he go? We cannot find him. And they deactivate. So, yeah. Now, different places have different things that you can do. In this case, you have this going on here, which will tell you, if you don't know the words, this will all be jumbled up. It'll be alien language. It says Atlas interface signal awakes. Research entity. Insert oxides constantly. Avoid disruption. So we're going to put oxides in. And that takes care of it. I end up learning a new recipe as a result of it. And I got Herox, which forms the backbone of galactic alloy trading. That's good. A lot of these things that you can learn are going to be for future things as well, which I will be talking about the future of this game for sure. So I already have this. So very basic. This is literally what you're seeing now is pretty much exactly what to expect. So let's swap from Boltcaster to Mining Beam, and then over here we'll scan, and you can see which is L3. Run is R3. A little weird to get used to. But see, we have plutonium. We can shoot it, and there we go. We've mined up. Good stuff. So instead of having a pickaxe to mine, you've got that. Is there a word over here? So there's a word over here. I will show how you learn an alien language then as well. So, the gameplay is it's not super engaging in the regard like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm out here shooting pirates on the planet, and I'm overthrowing this planet's like civilization, and I'm discovering all of this, individual planetary stuff. Oh, I thought it was gonna fall. Like world of immense stuff. It doesn't do that. So we have a knowledge stone, and I learned the Korvax word 4/4, which is good. I needed that. There's a treasure down there. I kind of really want it. So if you're looking for something like really adventurous and something that allows you to go around shooting stuff, Sean Murray pretty much said if that's what you want, go play Destiny. He says, that's fine. That's a good game. Go play it. And I disagree with him. It's not a good game to me. But, that's an opinion. Sorry. I know it probably offended some people. But at any rate, that's not what this game does. And it's true, though, that if you want a game that allows you to play with your friends and to go do that stuff, then that's kind of the game you need to be looking at. And, he kind of points out that there are other space games that do those things that they're looking for, but his idea is different. And so I finally learned the word and. Really? For and. So good thing that I'm learning conjunctions and prepositions and stuff, so really. But he really pointed out the fact that people are really getting the wrong idea about what the game is and what it's going to be and where it's going and what we're doing at launch, is basically what he said. So really, it's more a matter of what you are looking to get out of the experience. If you go into it knowing it's a single player experience, it's a resource gaining thing, there's not as much there as there should be yet, but it's going to get there. And one thing I want to point out, I don't know why people don't get this idea. I don't know why they didn't understand this, but all DLC, everything added to this game is free. There are no season passes. There's nothing you have to buy. You don't have to go get whatever to make this game better. It's all free. It's all going to be free. Now, I think that is a huge advantage to people who get this game a little later, because there are so many people who bought this game that don't want it. Some people are getting gifted this game that don't want it because they don't realize what it is, or they get bored very easily. And this game will bore you if you bore easily. And so the game is going to be up for sale everywhere cheap. It's getting traded in like crazy. So anybody who gets it cheap is getting the advantage of, hey, I can get this game really cheap and I can do everything that everybody else was not wanting to do for less than what they paid for it. And it's great because if you get the game cheap and you just hold on to it, even if you don't play it right now, the DLC that's coming is going to be worth it. So that's what I'm going to touch on now is the final part here, which is the longevity. If you're playing this game right now, you're probably already bored with it. To give you an idea, I like trophies myself. Well, these right here, when you get to 10, that's a gold trophy. And all of these make up your entire trophy list to get you to platinum. So once you complete all of this, you're done. I've seen people complete this like crazy. This is an easy thing to do that I haven't done yet. This is extremely easy to do. This only requires you to go to a planet that has extreme conditions. This one just requires you to warp around. And this one just requires you to go to planets and start getting all the wildlife, which is the longest one. But other than that, simple. Really simple stuff. So if you're looking for something to draw you in for platinum time, I'd say give yourself about 3 or 4 days of just playing this game nonstop, and you'll be fine. Oh, look, I'm one word away from 400. So, which I think gold is only like 150. So in the end, there's not a lot to really draw you in right now to keep you staying, except for the fact that it's a really fun game to explore. And eventually people are gonna be like, oh yeah, but you explore and the planets start kind of feeling the same, which is true. I'm not gonna deny that by any stretch of the imagination. Once you've been to a toxic planet and you find another toxic planet, you don't give a damn because you don't want to be on a toxic planet. But right now the longevity does suffer. It definitely takes a toll on the people that do enjoy the game, because after you get so far, after you make so much money, after you do so much trading, you just feel like something's missing. And you start saying, well, I might as well go back to playing this, or you might as well go back to playing that, because there's not really anything else here to make you want to stay. There's no big goal. You're not aiming for one big thing unless you're just trying to get to the center of the universe. So that begs the question of, well, what about longevity later on? Well, as I touched on, there's going to be DLC that comes in that's going to add a lot to this. And it's really cool is you can build your own outposts. There's talking about capital ships. And I imagine there's going to be battleships. There's going to be like a big array of ships for building. Because right now there is no building. There's no way to do your own thing yet. And I'm assuming in the future there's going to be just starfighter craft of all varying sizes. We already know there's going to be outposts for sure. We know there's going to be freighters at some point for sure. So there's going to be at least that. And I cannot imagine that they will not add a plethora of just ships and stations and buildings and all kinds of cool stuff. And that definitely makes you want to be interested in it. And so then the question becomes, why play now instead of just waiting? And my only real rebuttal there is play now to get money and to get resources built up. Even if you do not play later on, even if you, well, I should say that. I should say, even if you play now, gather things, and then quit and play again, which might be what I do, to be honest. But I want to get around 10 million before I do that. But let's say you take the time now to get some resources built up, to learn your schematics, learn as many technological blueprints, and then take a break and play in intervals or whatnot. And then when that comes out, pursue that. Then the question comes along, well, why would you want to play then? It's still not a multiplayer game. And that is also true. However, here's my theory on this. And anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, or they can pose their own theory beyond this. But the closer you get to the center of the universe, the center is probably a sphere. That makes the most sense because we're in 3D space. So if there's a center, that would mean that center would be a sphere. So the closer you are to it, the higher the density of stuff. Because the closer you are, then naturally, the less space there is around you, because you're going to be closer to an actual center. So the circumference and whatnot, or even the radius out from the center, is going to be smaller. So if you build a structure on a planet, and they're going to introduce scanning of things. So let's say you do a scanning of a planet or a system, and it notes that there's a large structure, so like a player-built outpost, then you're going to want to go there. And if you're close to the center of the universe, and more people see that, and more people venture to that, the higher the probability of multiplayer. And if they start adding capital ships, they start adding space stations you can construct, they start adding Death Star type things, and those are all things that people can see and scan, interact with, and visit, then that opens up the option of a player faction, a player community, a player hub. And what that does is it starts opening up the possibility of PvPing on a larger scale as well, because this is an open PvP game. So this starts opening up the possibility that there will be more vast open universe warfare. So that allows us to have the hope or the idea that there is going to be something more large scale and interaction with other people. Now, either that be something like the whatever side of the fence you might be on. So like if you're on the side that like, hey, we have this structure, we have this capital ship or this base, and this is our side of that. Or you have the other side, like, well, we're on this side. We have this ship. We have this base. We are this faction. And then you go to war. I mean, that's a really cool prospect and aspect, because it's nothing that the game is scripted. It's not something that you just join and suddenly you're enemies with this other group. It's a community-based thing. It's a community-based fight or faction. And then in turn, there could be alliances. There could be whatever the case might be. Now, this is all conjecture on my part. This is all just hopes and dreams of a player. But the thing about this game is, it is a universe of possibilities. It is literally an entire game that is a universe that is full of potential. And I think that people are really bashing a game that got released a little bit earlier than it was supposed to, in fact. I think it got to the point to where the publishers and all said, we want this game out now. We want the money made off this game now. And in turn, people were expecting more. And I feel like maybe Sean Murray was kind of hesitant on that as well. And you have to remember that this is a passion for him. This is something that he really loves and has poured his heart and soul into. And in turn, he's going to be doing more and more and more with it. So I think sticking in there and kind of seeing this game become more over time is going to be what really separates the where we are now, the community where it's at, with kind of like these outraged gamers and these upset gamers, as well as all the fanboys and girls. And then in 6 months, when it comes around to the holiday season and then the beginning of next year, where we're at, where the game is at, because I think it's going to be a different game. I think 6 months from now, we're not even going to be looking at the same thing we are right now. I think we're going to be looking at a game that involves building and construction, and it's going to be involving more interactive gameplay. I just think that is the future of where this game is going, and that's what I'm hoping, at least. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and that's really unfortunate. But I think that's what we're all waiting for right now. And even though I do personally really like the game, I still don't see a reason to play it beyond a few days. So I'm going to leave my thoughts there on that. And now I'm going to move on to the part of rent, buy, or pass. So here's what I think. I think that if you're looking to just try the game out, rent it for sure. And I think everyone should rent the game. I think everyone should play this game. If you hate it, if you love it, if you play it every day of your life, or you only play it the once, play it. Just take the time, break down, rent it from somewhere for a night, and just play it. I mean, even if you despise it, if you play it for 10 minutes, just play it. It's an experience. And I'll tell you, well, I'll get to that in a minute. As far as buying is concerned, I think the $60 price tag on it right now is high for the content that's there. And I hate saying that because I always want companies to make their money. And I think that people always expect games to just be cheap because they can be cheap. But I do feel like $60 is a little bit much for where we are right now. If you can get it for about $20 less than MSRP, yeah, go for it. If you see a copy on eBay for around $42, $43, hey, that's a good deal. You got a coupon from GameStop for $20 off, there you go. Go for it. Or whatever the case may be. If you got trade credit, hey, that's a good thing to blow it on. At any rate, wherever you get the game, however you get the game, I personally don't feel like it's worth full retail. I pre-ordered it through another place and got a discount on it, and in turn, I didn't pay that full price. But even still, I kind of feel like it was just a little bit more than what I would have paid for what's here. As far as passing is concerned, don't pass on this game. Even if you don't play it right now, play it at some point. At least play it when the content gets released. Just everybody deserves to play this game. And the reason I say that, what I was going to say earlier, which was my final thought before I let this go, is when you first play and you see the universe and you see the game you're getting to, and you realize that the planet you start out on, it's made for you. Nowhere else in this universe was made for you at that moment. From the minute you step into the game, that planet that you're standing on, that solar system that you are in, is yours. The game gave it to you. That planet has not been seen by anybody else. You're the only one there. No one may ever see that planet again. And that to me is a very awesome, staggering thing. And then when you go out into the solar system for the first time, when you finally get up into space and you realize the planets around you, nobody's seen them. Nobody knows anything about them. And you can name them and they're yours and they're forever going to be named whatever you name them. And it's just so neat. And then when you open up that galactic map for the first time and you realize you're this dot and the cluster of this dot with these dots, and you realize how many dots are on that screen and how very, very tiny you are at that moment, that makes the inner child in you just filled with wonderment. And that's the thing about this game is if your little inner child is not filled with amazement and wonderment at that kind of moment, I don't think you have a soul. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think you probably left your soul somewhere, because this game does that so well, and I just feel like everybody at some point in time looks up at the stars and goes, "That is just amazing," and you have that kind of existential moment. And when playing this game, I kind of feel like you get that same sense of like, this is huge. This is so big, because no matter what game you play, the world is only so big. It's only so much of the world. It's explorable. I mean, even if you played EVE Online, the universe is very, very, very large, but it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the size of this game. And to me, that's what drew me in, because I was an EVE player for over a decade, and I tell you, it is staggering to look at this game and see the galactic map and realize that you are so tiny. In fact, before I go, the very last thing I'll do here is I'm going to show you what I mean. And I'm going to show you why this got to me and why I felt like this was just so incredible. Is we're around here. This is our system, not our planet. And then if you pull back, every one of these dots is somewhere you can go and check out and just see. And you can see the lines connecting them. And look at this. All of these areas that are explorable, and every single one of them is a system with planets in it. Like mine has 3 planets, which I named XGT629, which is in honor of my son. And there's, as you can see, there's like 6 directions, at least, maybe 8. Well, there might be 8 directions I can jump in. Look over here, there's 3 planets and a moon. Or let's go over here. There's 2 planets and 3 moons. Or there's 4 planets and a moon. And it just keeps on going. And it's so crazy to think about, like, all of the stuff around us here. And how incredibly small we are in comparison. It's just so neat to me. I love it. I love the fact that this is how it is. And we can scan for discoveries and see if there's anywhere that people have been, and to see what's here. And like, discovery status is completely unknown. 241 light years away. That's so cool. It's so neat. There's the possibility that we might see something, or we might not see something, or whatever the case is. That's so cool. You can see all these different planets around us. I don't know. I can go on and on and on and on and on. I'm sorry. So with this being said, I found a place that was actually discovered by somebody, and a couple of days ago at that. So very cool. That's probably the closest person to me at all. And that person's probably already jumped system after system after system away from me. So very cool. At any rate, guys, that's going to do it. That's going to be the end of my review for this, as well as my thoughts on this. So if you guys agree, disagree, have any thoughts on it, want to discuss it, whatever the case is, please feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts on it, what you like and don't like. I get there's some people that hate the game, some people that love the game. I'm not here for that. If you guys love it or you hate it, that's fine. That's your opinion. That's the way you like it or you don't like it. And everyone's entitled to that. Everyone's entitled to like or hate a game. That's the world we live in. If you didn't, then there would be something wrong. If you didn't have that entitlement to hate or like it, then that would be a problem. So I'm hoping everyone that does enjoy it is enjoying it. If you don't enjoy it, then don't ruin it for the people who do. If they like it, let them just like their game, and you go play what you're gonna play, and let that be that. No reason to hate on other people for what they like. So, thanks guys so much for checking out the review. Don't mean to sound preachy either. I apologize if I do. And again, I would like to hear from everyone. So please let me know. And again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Gray Fox out.